All right, little walking thoughts of the day slash rants, but really more for just, I think what the world needs is, in my little view, is just a little more, just a little healthy dose of perspective. So I was working on an event last night here in Nashville with where JD Vance was at, and I got to get talking with some of the Secret Service guys, and we just got to chatting, about just life and jobs and law enforcement. And it was a real good experience. Just awesome dudes, just super squared away. So it was just great to meet those fellas. One of the dudes asked me, because before I moved out here to chase this music dream, I was a cop for over 15 years back in Washington State, and he asked me well, what's it been like, since being out, and just finding that sense of fulfillment and purpose, especially with music, since it's such a volatile industry and kind of hard to break in and kind of do your thing because it's so different from life in law enforcement. But it got me thinking of just too often we measure success and fulfillment and all that stuff, and it's all tethered to a lot of times your work product and your identity as an employee, and your job status and just the product you produce in that capacity. And it really didn't hit me until I really kind of just thought about my answer real quick, because yes, from my time in law enforcement, I got a lot of that satisfaction from that, and a lot of my identity was wrapped up in that. But since separating and being out and just having the time back, and you realize that time is the ultimate commodity that you're not getting back. You're not getting, you don't really know how much you have in the tank. We kind of assume and hope that we have all this time, but you really never know. So it got me thinking that my big kind of epiphany or response of basically how things are going since I've been out, the first thing I thought of was just how taken back I was with how much more time I've been able to have with my family and my wife and kids. And just, I look back at the trajectory of how much time, and to really pick any job, it's like, but for me, obviously it was law enforcement. It's shift work, it's night shift, it's swings, it's days, it's call outs, it's trainings, and you're living by, your pager, your beeper or whatever. These days it was more text message based, but that made it a lot easier for call outs, but no one really carries beepers anymore. But it got me thinking of I rewind back to the last little bit when I was working on, if you break it down hour by hour, day by day, how much time you got to spend with your family and kids, and it's limited, and it's and even the time you do get is the quality there, because your mind is always elsewhere, on cases, on calls you just went on, just those different battles you're fighting, internally in yourself. And it just made me really pause and just reflect on how grateful I am that that I was able to do that job for a good chunk of time and make those experiences and memories and relationships. But at the same time, it's now being removed a little bit, how blessed I feel, and with the amount of time I'm able to gain back to be with my wife and kids. And yeah, the music game is it's a lot different than law enforcement as far as the whole concept and work structure and just how it goes, and it's got its own stresses and problems, and in just life. I'm literally, cars acting up, so I just drop it off at the shop, and my wife's out of town with the kids because I was working last night doing a little camping trip, so I'm walking home to go get some work done while I wait to get done. So it's little things, but I could choose to be upset about things like that, or I can choose to just have that perception and heart focus on what really matters. And I'm healthy. It's, the sun's out, and Jesus loves me. He loves you. I got a wife that loves me, kids that love me, and I've been able to, even just like, let's just take this last calendar year. I've been able to see my kids, and the time I've been able to spend with them and my wife is arguably more than I would have had like hour by hour and day by day, and tenfold on the quality time just this last year than I probably would have had over the first 18 years of their life at the pace I was going. So when I circle back to my buddy, the Secret Service agent's question of just what it's been like, all I can really think of is just I'm just very grateful, and I'm blessed more than I deserve, because my time in law enforcement has given me a lot of experiences out here, even with music, and opened some doors with other folks that are in the similar situations that have gone through similar things. But at the same time, doing music and having this a little bit more of a flexibility, there's a lot of unknowns, and I gotta work and do other things every day to keep the lights on. But the trade-off of the quality time and the memories I'm making for my wife and kids, and just the ability to slow down a little bit and really even just how much more I'm able to draw closer to God and just really listen to what He wants in the direction that I'm supposed to go with my life now. And I can't really calculate that blessing. I just feel very grateful. So it really took a minute, that question, to figure that out. So long story short, because it's so easy, this is kind of switching gears towards musicians specifically. It's so easy to get lost in the trap of, the comparison game, or, why am I not blowing up, or that person's blowing up just because they got the record deal, or they got the publishing deal because they had something pop off on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. And you can find yourself getting upset at that stuff, but it's just, the comparison is the thief of joy, and we're supposed to celebrate each other's wins and lift each other up. And I find myself more and more, especially when I got a message, like I just dropped the song Hammer Down on Friday, and it's all about, folks taking their life, and the repercussions and the ramifications for the family and friends after that. Because, I've been to a lot of those scenes, and I've seen that destruction, and the whole idea was, if you do that, and make that decision, it's going to hurt a lot of people, and hopefully, even if it's just one person, that might be a deterrent for them to at least pause that decision and try to get some help and make a better choice. But like I said, I just got a comment yesterday that, I don't want to name names, but it broke my heart, about how much that song touched them, because their father had just committed that act 2 months ago, and they're just unbelievably tore up, and my heart just goes out to them. And so that's the idea, is I want to not judge success by metrics like stream counts and playlisting and whether or not labels are reaching out. It's those moments, those connections where if I'm writing something that matters to somebody, that hopefully reaches someone and helps them, touches their heart, or helps move them or in the right direction in some way, that's my mission, that's my goal. So if you've got a story, if you've got a song, you've got to make sure you do your best to put it out there and try to help somebody, because there's someone hurting out there that might need to hear the words that you need to say. So don't be afraid to do it, and don't judge those wins and success by algorithms and metrics. Do it for the people. But love y'all. I can't wait to get on the road. Hopefully come to a town near you. If you like what I'm doing, hit me up. Let's try to get something happen where I can come out to your area. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Guess I'll finish my walk. God bless, and talk to y'all soon.